And now, we would like to introduce our next speaker, Jusara Korngold. Jusara Korngold is an MBA, and she's the founder and president of the Spiritist Alliance for Books, a nonprofit organization which has the sole purpose to promote and disseminate the Spiritist philosophy in English, as codified by Allan Kardec. Mrs. Korngold is also one of the founders and directors of the Spiritist Group of New York, located in Manhattan. Mrs. Korngold is also a Spiritist writer, author of 3 books, and has been translating Spiritist materials and books since 1993. Jusara Korngold is currently the Vice President of the United States Spiritist Council. Mrs. Korngold has been working as a volunteer in the Office of Brazil Child in New York since its opening in 2000 as its main executive. Jusara's topic today, the parables of the gospel. Ms. Korngold.
Hello, everyone. I hope you are having a great afternoon, enjoying all the opportunity that we are having here of learning more, talking more, thinking more about a topic that I'm very sure it's very important to all of us. And I'm very happy because I was giving an easy task, which doesn't mean that I'm so sure I will be up to the topic, because I'm going to be talking about the parables of Jesus, to try to expand a little more for us the idea of and the reasons why Jesus would be talking to us into parables, and what are the importance of those parables to us in our daily lives, and how can we actually make a good use of these parables even and especially in our Spiritist centers. So basically the word parable comes from the Greek, and it means a short allegory, a way of us conveying a story that is going to be retained in the minds of people. So if I had the ability, believe me, I tried, I would like to come here, and instead of giving you all this presentation, I would be capable of coming out and coming with a story that I would be telling you the story, and at the same time you would be able to learn everything that I will be presenting today, but in the form of a parable, of a story. Why? Because in this way we could be 100% sure that you would be able to retain the story, and that you would go home and would still, for many years to come, remember this passage. One thing that is interesting is that sometimes we wonder what is the difference between parables and fables, because at the same time the fables give us an idea, a teaching, as well as the parables. But in the difference is that in the fables we use more animals and inorganic, inanimate objects such as nature, and in the case of the parables we actually are just talking about human beings. So we see parables in the whole Bible. It is started in the Old Testament, and we have here some examples of the way that parables were presented as well by other representatives, by other prophets in the Bible. So parables is not something that just Jesus came and gave to us, but it was something that was used already at the time. And actually one of the reasons why Jesus would be talking to us in parables were not only because he knew it would be a great way for us to retain these teachings, but also because it was the way people were used to learn through parables when they had that in the old times as well. So One thing that is interesting that when I started researching this topic, it was that I couldn't come up with the right number of parables. I thought it was going to be a piece of cake. I mean, you know, there are 33 parables, like it says here. But then I continue research, and then I discovered that the New English Version of the Bible said, no, it's not 33, it's 40. And then new scholars today are saying that, no, it's not 40, it's 46. So whatever the number is, I hope they will agree soon with that. The main important thing, and the reason why we are saying that Jesus brought this to us, is for us actually to be capable of retaining this knowledge. So we have to try and start using and studying this knowledge in a way that it can actually bring new possibilities to our lives. So for instance, when we start studying more about the parables, we will realize it, that not Jesus only brought to us the parables, but the way and when he taught us those parables, it follows a chronological order. So it's not that he, in the same way like when we talk about the Spirit's book, you know, that the Spirit's book could not put, let's say, the chapter that talks about God at the end. It follows a chronological order so that we could actually expand in other subjects and understanding from the beginning. The parables of Jesus is the same thing. It follows this order. So it starts presenting to us the foundation. Then it comes with some important parables, such as the parable of the sower, the parable of the weeds. Sorry. And then it comes with other parables that will help us to establish new behaviors, to start learning about new behaviors. And in short, it gives us a way for us to start working in a progression in developing our Christian life. So next time we start looking and studying the parables, it's very good for us to take into consideration this aspect, that they actually follow a certain order. So one of the parables that is very well known to most of us is the parable of the sower. When we know that there's this man that may sow the seeds of goodness, and depending on the soil that he's going to find, the seeds are going to grow or not. This is very much what we tried, at least we try to do in the Spiritist Center, right? In the Spiritist community. We try to spread all this knowledge, all this enlightenment that we were blessed to receive it in the first place. We never know what kind of soil we are going to find, but it doesn't mean that because we are questioning the soil, we are not going to continue doing the good work that we are supposed to do. Another one of the parables that are also very well known to us is the parable of the talents. When we have a man that comes and calls his servants, and he gives to one 5 bags of gold, to other he gives 2 bags of gold, and to the last one 1 bag of gold. And then he goes into this trouble and asks them to actually do good with that possibilities, with those talents. And so when he returns, the one that had 5 bags of gold made another 5, the one with 2 another 2, and the one with 1, he said because he was afraid of the Lord, he preferred to bury it because he didn't want to waste that money. I have my doubts that it was just because he was afraid, it was because of fear that he didn't do anything. I think it's more because of laziness, perhaps, which is something that we have to combat in ourselves. And so, of course, we know the end of the story. The Lord is very pleased with the ones that were able to do something with their talents, and very displeased with the one that could not, and actually removed that talent, the bag of gold from this one, and gave to the one that had 5. So how can we apply that in our daily lives, especially in our Spiritist community? We all receive talents. There is a great talent here today, behind the curtains, that has accepted to do this hard task of controlling everything, of helping us all come here, and being invisible to all of us, and not even being capable of benefiting from this spiritual banquet that we are receiving here. So everyone will receive this talent, and thank God we have a talent like that. We have someone that is actually willing to do this kind of work so that we can have a peaceful reunion. We receive talents, and we have to be able to recognize what we have, and how can we put that to good use in benefit of others. It saddens me a lot when we see people, especially in our community, complaining about the amount of work they have to do in the Spiritist centers because they do not find that much cooperation with their fellow Spiritists. In fact, I think we should be very happy to have the opportunity of doing more and not complaining because we do not have the necessary help. So I think that we should be thinking and meditating about this parable and how can we apply that in our Spiritist lives. And next time we think about complaining perhaps, oh, I wish there was somebody else that could do that for me, we would be very happy that we will have the opportunity of doing more work. Of course, we want our fellow brothers and sisters to have the same opportunity to work as well. But if they are not willing to do that, let's not complain, and let's do and receive this blessing, this extra talent, this extra task, and do something else about this work. Another parable that has a lot to do with us, and it's amazing because we see clearly the actuality of the teachings of Jesus and how important actually, and how he knew that his teachings would travel 2,000 years, 3,000 years, 4,000 years, the whole eternity, because we know that Jesus is actually the governor responsible for our world, and he brought to us the truths that will never change. A truth never changes. So the parable of the prodigal son, it reflects us. You know, we are the prodigal children. It means that we went to the world, and we were created by God, simple and unenlightened. We went to the world. We had the opportunity of learning through experiences, of committing, unfortunately, a lot of faults. But at the same time, when we are maturing more, when we are tired of suffering so much, we start seeing that actually we came from, and we had a better place, and we have a better place that will be waiting for us to go. So it's when we start making a turn and start going towards the house of the God and returning to our Father. So this is our spiritual path. And in this path, actually, it doesn't matter how many faults we have committed. It doesn't matter how many incarnations we had to endure in order to develop a more mature sense of spirituality and understanding of our spiritual being, because God always forgives us. There is nothing that we can do that is ever going to make us be apart from God. Which doesn't mean that we have to delay our walk. We are already here. We are already, trying to go through this path. So we should take this opportunity and, we start moving each time more, with more determination, so that we can reach and return to the house of the Lord as soon as we can, in terms of being a full spiritual being. So one interesting thing also about the parables of Jesus is that they always present a twist, and that will call the attention of the listeners. So, for instance, let's see here on the parable of the Good Samaritan. We have a Samaritan that would be the one that is most despised, and he is the one that in this parable of the Good Samaritan is the hero. When we had the priest, the Levite that went to and passed by the man and didn't help anyone. And then when Jesus asked which one is actually the brother, which one was actually the one that helped that did a good deed, and they couldn't prevent, but the man couldn't say otherwise, then it's the Samaritan. And so, can you imagine at this time how hard it would be for a doctor of the law to have to agree with Jesus that one of the despised races of the time was the one that was actually being charitable, was the one that was doing what is good, what is the will of God. So this is the twist. And then people would go and tell this story. Can you imagine that Jesus was telling that, saying that, that people that we actually have no consideration for them could be could be a people that would be more in tune with the law of God than us. So it would be in this way also to stir up things that Jesus would also show these parables. Another one is the one of the unmerciful servant. So we are all very used to the idea of, very wealthy people being unable to forgive any debts, or being very rough and, trying to tell us, oh, you do go and you work and you do what I did to reach my position. And so this is the parable that Jesus presents to things in a completely different way. There is this very rich man and this poor man that was owing money to the Lord, to this rich man, and he couldn't pay. And he asked for forgiveness, and this rich man said, okay, I will forgive your debt. But then when this poor man that has just had his debt forgiven, go outside and meet someone that owes him a considerably less amount of money, and he says, and this person begs him not to make him pay because he couldn't do that, and he says, I don't care, I want to put you in jail. So we see how, Jesus in this way with these two parables ask us to go beyond the prejudices, the concepts that we may have. That we cannot judge people because of their financial condition, that we cannot judge people because of their race, we cannot judge people in any case. So, because he's showing here, so you think the rich man, the rich people are the bad ones. Look at this parable. Which one is the bad one? So, showing again that what is important is what we have in our hearts, and not how much I have in the bank, or what kind of race do I belong to. Nothing of this sort, but only what we have within ourselves. And above all, what we see here is the importance of learning to forgive. There is a very interesting parable that was not written by Jesus, not written by any of the prophets that we have in the Old Testament, but written by someone that is very well known and respected, not only in this country, but in the whole world, Benjamin Franklin. I don't know if you are familiar with Benjamin Franklin. Among a lot of things that he used to do, one of them was actually to write parables, following the examples of Jesus. And there is this parable of tolerance that Benjamin Franklin wrote, saying that there is this man, Abraham, and Abraham is in his tent in the desert, and then he sees an elderly man approaching in a very bad situation, very beaten. And then he invited the man to, to partake with him his bread and to stay and to spend the night. And the man said, no, it's okay. I can just be there. I don't want to disturb you. And he insisted to receive the man in his tent. Okay, he went to his tent, and then they started, washing their hands, doing everything that they had to do before start eating. And before start eating, Abram started saying a prayer to God. And then he looked at the man, and the man was not praying to God. He said, how come you're not praying to God? He said, I don't believe in God. And the man, Abraham, was so upset with that. He said, how come you don't believe in God? So you are not worthy of being here and staying with me. And he sent the man away. And after a while, and then he did his prayer, and God showed himself to him, or herself to him, and then asked him, where is that man that came in the way and that you invited to, to have food and to spend the night? And then he says, well, you know what, he didn't believe in you, so I had to send him away. And he said, and do you think this is the way that I act with people? That I expect them to believe in me so that I can take care of them? Look at you and look at everyone, how much I care for all of you and how much I take care of each one of you without worrying about that. For your whole life, your whole eternity, and you could not just take care of him for just one night. So this is the parable of Benjamin Franklin, very much following the models of the parables of Jesus, just to show us how much it's important for us to be tolerant with each other and to forgive above all else. So all of these twists in the parables of Jesus, of course, it's something that is very unexpected and would call the attention of everyone. And what we see with that, like we are trying to present here today to you, is actually to see the actuality of the parables, how in spite of 2,000 years, we still are talking and laws are made. Even in this country, we have a law that protects the Good Samaritan. So all taking as basis the teachings of Jesus, the parables that Jesus told us in order to enlighten us. So we see that they are as clear today as they were before, that we can apply and we should apply them in our daily lives. What use is, like for instance, we are here spending this wonderful day together, trying to enlighten our souls. But like it was said here before, we cannot just, go to our homes and be Spiritist Christians for a day. We are expected to, to absorb what we are having here and to be able somehow to start putting in practice everything that we have learned here. So this is the importance for us of having meetings like this, of being together, of, enlighten ourselves with the teachings of Jesus. This is what we are expecting, that each and every one of you can actually, go to your homes and feel that, today, because of everything that we have shared together, we can actually go back to our homes and feel ourselves better, feel ourselves with more strength, more determination, so that we can continue with our lives. We know that life is very hard. We know that we all go through so much trouble, so much suffering sometimes. But when we bring Jesus to our side, when we bring this faith, this understanding to our minds, to our hearts specifically, we can withstand all that. We know the reason why we are going through all that. It's very much like, when we look at life on earth, when we are children, everything is very much like, just playing. But when we start growing, we start having our responsibilities. So we are no longer spiritual children. We are, thank God, more mature. But with this maturity, with this understanding, it means that we are ready to go through challenges and to develop even further our possibilities, our love, and our minds. So basically, the most important thing that we have to learn is to love one another. In the book, The Consoler, Emmanuel tells us that the Spirit Emmanuel, the mentor of Chico Xavier, he tells us that love is contagious. Isn't that great? Emmanuel is very, the way I see Emmanuel, he's a very strict man, spirit. And then he comes and he says, love is contagious. So it should be so easy for us to change humanity if we could truly love our neighbors, and then, with this energy, everyone could feel embraced, could feel important, and could feel that there are people that care for them. So I think this is what we need most, and it was one of the reasons that we have chosen the whole topic for this symposium, that we would understand that in spite of the need and the thirst that we have for knowledge, to understand more about ourselves, our spiritual being, to understand more about, the mechanics that is behind all the world and the mediumship and etc., we still need the basic thing, which is love. So love one another. I know that it's very easy to say that, but we in this room, we are the living proof that we are trying to go above our possibilities, fight with our inner selves, with the inner beasts that we still harbor within ourselves, but that we are ready to start embracing each other as brothers and sisters. So with that in mind, I hope that we could convey our message to you. Not our message, but the message of Jesus, and that we can keep that in our hearts constantly, and remember to put in practice all of his teachings, to bring to our minds all the teachings of Jesus, and try in our everyday lives to apply them. This is what is the reason why we have Spiritism. This is the reason why Jesus came to us, to teach us by examples, to show that we do not have just to talk. It's very easy to talk sometimes, and we know that. But we have to give ourselves. We have to love. And let's bring this love commencing by our Spiritist community, and then we will spread that throughout the world. Much love, many blessings to you all, and I hope you're really having this wonderful experience that we can feel when we feel embraced by the Spirit benefactors that help us and that are with us, demonstrating their love to us all the time. Thank you very much.